Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a solo playthrough of Star Trek Captain's Chair. This is a re-implementation of the Imperium system from Imperium Classics, Imperium Legends, and what's the third one? Imperium Horizons, there we go. Now actually I haven't played any of those, so this is my first experience with the system. In fact, I have so little confidence in my abilities, I'm going to be playing on the lowest difficulty level. So as you can see, I got everything set up for the solo game. I'm going to be playing as Jean-Luc Picard, and our opponent will be Koloth. But you can see here we start with our ship, the Enterprise D. I've shuffled up my deck and drawn my starting hand of 5 cards. And I don't want to completely go over the setup here, but I do want to take you on a little bit of a tour of all of these cards, just so you know what's what. So over here we have our developments, and then on top of it, the reserve cards, which have been shuffled. You don't need to shuffle your developments. You can keep those face up. We then have the market over here. Going from left to right, we have people, cargo, ships, and allies. Here we have the incident deck, and then above that, the encounter deck. I believe they call these the Stardate cards. This is basically the timer for the game. And then we have the neutral planets. We have 3 neutral starting planets here, and then a deck of other planets. And then we have our boards here, which are tracking our skills, our 3 different skills. Research, influence, and military. And the rest of it you'll pick up as we play. So I think let's just go ahead and dive on in and get started, and don't worry, it's all going to make sense. We get to start, and at the start of a turn, you do these things which are laid out right here. The first thing you do is have a resupply phase. Some cards out in your tableau might have resupply on it, and you'd resolve those now. We don't have anything like that, so we'll move on. Then you have the control phase. This is where we'd get to control a neutral planet if we had the appropriate ship and away teams out there. Obviously, we don't at the beginning of the game, so I'll explain that when we do. We then go to the meat of the game, phase 3 actions. This is where we have 3 action points to spend to play cards from our hand. And the trick is not every action requires us to spend one of our action points. So if you look here at this card, and we're going to be playing our cards into this area, which is known as the staging area. But you can see here on this card, when I play it, I actually have 2 different options of what to do. There's 2 different play actions that I could activate. I can only pick one. The top one I can actually do without spending an action point. And the bottom one, it has that symbol. That means that I actually have to spend one of my 3 action points to do it. There's also cards that will be already in your tableau. Like, for instance, Jean-Luc Picard here and our ship, they have these blue different actions. Jean-Luc has a reaction, and here our ship has different activations that we can do. You can resolve those without spending an action. So let's just go ahead and start playing cards, and you'll see what I mean. Actually, I think I will start by playing this card, and I'm going to activate the bottom playability. So I will need to spend one of my action points. Now this says to gain an ally and log this card. So gaining an ally means we simply can take either this ally that's showing or the one that's on the top of the draw pile. I like the one who's showing here, so I'm going to take them. And when we gain, we have a choice. We can either put them in our discard pile or on top of our draw pile. They don't go into our hands. Now, if it had said take means that you put it directly into your hand. So you got to be very careful on the wording of these cards. Now, I'm actually going to put them in the discard pile. And then you immediately refill. And now it says log this card. And what that means is you put it underneath your captain. That card is basically done for the rest of the game, but it still counts as you having it. So if it would help you score points at the end of the game, you still have it for that purpose, but for every other purpose, it's gone. And now we're just going to keep going until we're done taking actions. And one thing I'd like to do now is I'd like to activate the Enterprise D. It starts in play, and this is where we're going to be putting all of our ships. So right now we just have this one, so we can't do any of the play effects because it's already been played. But once it's in play, once it's out of our staging area and in play, it means we've deployed the ship, we can now do one of these activations. And when we do that, we just tap it, and then we pick one. But what I want to do is I want to warp this ship. And so I'm going to spend 1 crystal, dilithium crystal, in order to warp the ship. And warping means we can just move this to any of the planet locations. Or they're not just planets. They can be all sorts of different things. I want to go to this neutral planet right here. And there we go. That didn't require an action, but now that this is tapped, I can't do any more activations of this. At the end of my turn, everything that we've tapped will get untapped. And that actually reminds me, I've already forgotten here, Jean-Luc Picard has a reaction. This says that after gaining an ally, which we just did, discard a card to gain 1 glory, and that's victory points. And you know what? I would actually like to do that. So I'm going to discard this card. And now you can actually use glory to replace the cost of either 2 dilithium crystals or one of these. I'm going to call them gold bars because I forget what they're actually called. Latinium. There we go, latinium. But of course, if you're doing that, you're giving up a point. So now there's more. It says you may beam the gathered card to a ship. And I think I will actually do that. So I'm going to take the gathered card, which was the ally, and when you beam a card to a ship, it just means that you tuck it underneath the ship and you make sure that the traits on the right-hand side here are showing. It takes that card out of your deck, it puts it here, you still get to use the traits if there are any cards that, require certain traits, but you can't play the card for its effect. So effectively, our ally, went onto the ship, and we're just going to tap our captain there to show that we use that reaction. You can also see here at the bottom of his card, it shows that at the end of the game, we're going to get 1 point for every ally that we have. Well, we've still only used 1 action. I think I'm going to use another one by playing Wharf. So you can see the play effect there. There's just 1. It says take an incident card and discard it. So here's the incident deck. We just draw the top 1. Normally, because it says take, it would go into our hands. But here it specifically says that we need to discard it. Incident cards are bad because if that incident deck ever runs out, in the solo game, that's just an automatic loss. I think in a multiplayer game, it triggers a burn, and then whoever has the fewest incident cards wins. But in the solo game, you just lose. So we have to be very careful about the incident cards we take. Okay, now it further says to discard the top card of our deck. So, boom. We now get to send 2 away teams to a neutral location. So here are our away teams. You can see because we're playing as Picard, he gets 5 away teams. So we can take 2 and we can send them to a neutral location, which are these up here. And I want to send it to where my ship is. Now, we didn't have to do that. We could send them to anyone. But the reason I send them there is because now I have enough tokens here in order to control this location. The way you control a neutral location is you have to have at least 3 tokens, and tokens can be either a ship token and or a away team token in any combination. And you must have at least 2 more tokens than your opponent. So at least 3 and at least 2 more. So we meet both of those conditions. Now, you don't take control of it right away. You take control of it during the control phase at the beginning of your turn. So that means that the other player has a chance to come in and try to stop you from controlling it if they want to, which undoubtedly he will do because he's a very attacky son of a bitch. Now, I just noticed that I did something wrong here. When you take glory, we got glory because of Captain Picard's reaction. You take it from here. You don't take it from the supply, you take it from the Stardate card. That's actually helping to progress us through the game as we take that glory. Okay, great. And now Worf, he just sits here in the staging area. He's been played, but he's just going to stay here until the end of our turn when we do some cleanup. And now we have one more action that we can take. And yeah, I actually think we're going to play this incident that we started with. It's going to require an action. And it says to put a card on top of your deck in order to return this incident. So we have one card here. We'll put it on top of our deck. And then it says you may promote a person from your staging area to be the duty officer. So the duty officer is kind of like the second in command. It's a way that we can get a second person out into the tableau. And here we go. We have Worf right here in our staging area. So we're going to promote them, place them right there as the duty officer. And then this can be returned. And when we return an incident, we put it at the bottom of the incident deck. So as we collect incidents, we want to make sure that we're doing things to return them back to the deck, because again, that's how we lose the game if that deck runs out. Okay, so now that Worf is our duty officer, we can use their activation, right? We can't use their play ability because they're out here, they've already been played, but we can tap them to use their activation. And he has this attack activation that will let us sort of take out some of the opponent's away teams. But there we go. We are out of cards. We're out of different things that we can do. We've played our 3 action points, so we're done. That's the end of our action phase. We end our turn by going through cleanup. Now, the first thing we would do is we would resolve a Stardate card if we had one, but we don't have one yet. I'll show you that later. We can skip that, and now we go to placing glory. So what we do is we take a glory off the Stardate card, and then we're going to put it on one of these cards of our choice. I'm going to go ahead and put it right there. If in the future we take that card, we'll get the glory that goes with it. And of course, that's also just progressing the game. Okay, we now get to discard. So if we had cards left in our hand, we could discard any number of them that we wanted. And now we get to draw back up to our hand size, which in our case is 5. Now our deck has run out, but it's only when we need to draw a card and we can't. That's when we're going to shuffle up our discard and form a new deck. We also untap. And there we go. That was the end of our turn. It's now our solo opponent's turn. Their turn is actually fairly straightforward. We're going to look at that number right there on the Stardate card, 2. And that's how many cards they're going to get to play. So we go ahead and we just pre-draw them here. And now we're going to resolve them. Now the solo opponent ignores everything that's on their cards. And instead, they're going to look at these 2 things. Let's take a closer look at them. So what we have here is a traits card. And then we have a suits card, and this one is double-sided. It has a no duty officer, and then if you flip it over, it has a with duty officer. So because they don't start with a duty officer, you want to have it on the no duty officer side. Once they get a duty officer, they're going to be a little stronger. And so what you do to resolve a card, let's bring this over here just so we can get a good look at it. You're going to first look at the trait. And you're going to compare it to the trait card, just moving down the card to see if you can find a match. So for Koloth, if it had a weapon tag on it, you would resolve weapon. If not, you move down to attack. If it has an attack, then you would resolve that. Then Romulan, and then scientist. This only has Klingon, and so none of those match, and so you move on. We're now just going to go by what type of card it is. In this case, this is a ship card. That's the suit, as it were. So we just go down to ship, and now that's what we're going to resolve. In this case, it says to deploy this ship. So we take the card, we deploy it, and then we get the standee. So deploying it is just moving it out from the staging area into your row where you have all your deployed ships, just like we had our Enterprise D. Now, normally, Koloth would begin with this deployed. That's why it has that deployed at the bottom. But when you're playing the solo game, you just put any deployed cards that they would have on top of their shuffled deck, so that those will be the first cards that they play. So we knew that that was going to be their first card. So then after deploying it, it's going to explore. Explore is like warp for us. It means it's going to move out here to one of these neutral planets. But it wants to go to the neutral location has the fewest tokens. It's just exploring, right? It doesn't want to get into a fight. So it's going to avoid us, and it's going to go to one of these other two planets. Now, those are tied for the number of tokens. So then it's just going to go to whichever one is most valuable. And for that, we're going to look down here. This shows that it's going to be worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. This one is not worth any victory points at the end of the game. So it's going to go to this one. We're going to often be looking at the value of a card to determine what the solo opponent does. And we're mostly going to be looking at the victory point, but there's some other things that can increase the value of a card. So for example, an in-game operation, sort of like the one that Picard has down here, that would actually increase a card's value by 5 points for the bot. Also, having any glory tokens on them would increase it by 1. So those are things we're going to have to look out for. The card now says to send an away team to a neutral location. Now, when you're sending out an away team, it's looking for the spot that has the most of its own tokens there. And so it's just going to go where the ship just went. And it's that easy. That was the first activation. We'll now activate the second card. Okay, this one doesn't have any traits, so we're going to jump straight over here to the suit card. This is a directive card. Here it says to discard the top 3 cards of the bot deck. I'll put their discard pile up there for now. We might run into some space issues a little bit later. It then says to gain 1 military. Easy, we just move their military forward 1. And now they're going to take an incident. Anytime the bot takes a card, it goes on top of their deck because they don't have a hand of cards. Anytime they gain a card, it goes into their discard pile. It then says to send an away team to a neutral location. Again, most tokens, it's going to go there. And now they have enough to control that planet. There we go. Now it's time for their cleanup because they've played all their cards. They're going to do a glory as well. So they take a glory off of here. They're going to put it on one of these cards. And they want to put it on the card that is least valuable for us. That's 3 points. And if you look down here, each of these has a sort of skill icon. What that means is that at the end of the game, these cards are going to be worth whatever our multiplier is on our skill tracks. You can see if you look at our skill tracks, as you move up, you get a ×2, a ×3, so on. Each track is a little different. So to assess the current value of those to us, we're going to look at our current skill tracks. And right now, our military track is just a ×1, so that's 1 point. And this one's also 1 point. So in terms of least valuable, these two are the same. So the tiebreaker would be the one that has the least number of tokens on it. Neither of them have any tokens, so the final tiebreaker is you just go to the left. You then just take any of these cards that are still in their staging area, discard it, and that's it. They're completely done. At the start of our turn, we do the resupply phase, but we don't have anything that has that ability, so we'll skip it. And now we go to the control phase. We have at least 3 tokens and at least 2 more than our opponent, so we can take control of this neutral location, and we will. Now you can only control a max of 1 location when doing this. So even if we had, control of other ones, we can just do 1. When you do this, you take your away teams and put them back in the supply, and you then dismiss your ship. So our Enterprise D, along with any cards that we had beamed to it, go into our discard pile. But we gain the planet, and we put our controlled locations right here in this row. So we have our duty officer, our controlled locations, our captain, our controlled ships, or deployed ships, I should say. And then we have our deck here, which is currently empty, and then our staging area as we play our cards out. And that's how our whole tableau works. So this location is giving us 5 points at the end of the game. It's giving us, you know, some traits. It's giving us some skill markers over here, which can be used for various things. You'll see that later. But when we control it, we also get to activate this, which is just, we're going to gain an extra action this round. So we're going to get 4 action points rather than just 3. Let's hope we can actually make use of that. I'm not sure that we can. We're going to refill this. And there we go. Let's start taking actions. Let's start by playing this card here. And I'll use this to mark my extra action that I'm getting. So the play requires an action, and it says, take control of this location. So, boom. And when we take control, we gain 1 research point. So that was just a location that began in my starting deck. This one actually has a cool activation ability, is that if we can put an away team here, then we'll be able to, you know, tap it in order to draw a card. That's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, I want to play this card. Yeah. Once again, we have 2 to choose from. They both take an action. I want to do the top one, which is we're going to gain a dilithium crystal and then 2 dilithium crystals for each controlled location. That's 4 + 1, 5 dilithium crystals. That is going to come in very handy. Now it's time to play Will Riker. And he's going to let me draw 2 cards from our discard pile. So I think we want to draw the Enterprise D for sure. So we can get that out and play again. And then we have this recruit directive that would let us either get an ally or a person. And then we have this one that would let us get a ship. And getting a second ship might be nice. Yeah, I think I'll take this one that will let us get a person or an ally. And then we may spend 1 dilithium crystal in order to send out an away team. So let's definitely do that. I'm going to put it here because it says that if we target a controlled location, we get to trigger the control operation again. And so that just means we get another action. So I'm just going to take this one back. That's pretty cool. And now that we've drawn our Enterprise D, we can play it. That's going to take an action. But the play action is just to deploy the ship. Boom. So we'll put it back here. It has been redeployed. And now we can either warp this ship or we can beam a card to it. And I want to warp it. I want to move it right here to this planet that we control. Now, why on earth would I want to do that? Well, it's because I have this special card here, which we're going to play right now with our last action point. Strange New Worlds. This says select a controlled location. If there are at least 1 away team and at least 1 ship there, look at the top 2 encounters, take one of them, return the other to the bottom of its deck, log the selected location, and gain 1 research. So we have met that condition here. So we're going to get to draw 2 encounters, and these cards are usually worth quite a bit of points. Okay, ooh, look at this one. This would let us play it in order to send up to 3 away teams to the same location, ignoring any opponent ships. And I didn't mention this, but if an opponent has more ships than you do at a neutral location, you cannot send your away teams there, right? Normally that ship is blocking you. So you either need to send in an equal number of ships before you send away teams, you know, or you need to go somewhere else. This would let us, boom, beam those away teams right in. And then we get to add to our military if we had Imperial cards out, if we had that Imperial tag. Now, we don't have that Imperial tag anywhere right now, but if we were to get this ship that's out there, that has the Imperial tag. I think I'm going to go for the Iconian Gateway just because, you know, this bastard is so mean. I think this is going to help us a lot. So let's go ahead and take that. Now, when we take a card, it goes on top of our deck. This one's going to go to the bottom of the encounter draw deck. And now we need to log this selected planet. So we return the away team. We're dismissing our ship again. This gets logged, so we're still going to get those 5 points at the end of the game, but we're losing out on those icons, which is okay. And when we do that, we get 1 research. Boom. So now we're up to a multiplier of 2. And there we go. We took 5 different actions there. Let's see. I do have this card here where I could draw a card, then discard a card, and then warp up to 2 of your ships, but we don't have any ships up there. But that wouldn't take an action point. No, I think I'll hold on to that. So we're done. We're going to have to place a glory. I'm going to place it on that ship right there because I think I'm going to want that one. We clean up, so everything that is in our staging area goes into the discard pile. Okay, now we need to draw back up to our hand size of 5. We got 1, and now our deck is out. So here's what we do. We shuffle up our discard pile. There we go. And then, before we start drawing cards again, we add the top card from our reserve. We put it right on top, and now we start drawing again. 4, 5. Every time we shuffle up our deck, we're going to take another reserve card, and then once the reserve cards are done, we can start taking development cards. Now, development cards actually cost, you know, different crystals and stuff, but when you take from the development, you actually get to pick which one you want. So there we go. That was a really productive turn. We're still just doing 2 cards. Okay, it's an incident. No traits, so we go straight to the suits. And for the incident, it says to gain a card. Oh, this is a bummer. So what it wants to do is it wants to gain a card that has a military skill icon down there at the bottom. Now, unfortunately, that ship that we wanted has that icon, so it's going to take that. It gains the glory that was on it. And if I knew the game better, I would have known that that incident was coming up and that's what would have happened, but I don't know the game that well. Again, when it gains something, it puts it in its discard pile. If it takes something, it puts it on top of its deck. Well, that ship's not nearly as good as that other one. Oh, well. Oh, gosh. And wait a minute. Pause everything because we have to go through the steps. Now, the solo opponent doesn't resupply, but they do the control phase. And they have control of this. So before that happens, before anything happens, they're going to take control of this. They do the same thing that we do. They dismiss their ship. They're going to gain the location, and that's up there. We're going to refill. And now we actually go through the cards and check it just like we would for one of their cards that they just drew. Okay, so none of those traits show up on the trait thing there. So we're going to go to the suits. It's a location. And it says to log the top card of the bot deck. So we'll just take that, put it under his card, just like how we log. It then says to discard the top 2 cards of the bot deck. If a ship is in the bot discard pile, gain 1 glory. And obviously a ship is in there, so they gain a glory. And again, you always take it from there. Okay, great. So that all happened. Then we resolved this incident. And now it says that it wants to send an away team to a neutral location. All of these have the same number of tokens, so it's going to look for the most valuable. That's worth 3 points. This is only worth 1 to it, so boom, it's going to go there. It then says you may draw a card, and it's in blue, and that just indicates that it's referring to us. You is us in this situation, so we may draw a card, doing a little nice thing for us. And of course we will. And then it says to return this card. And so it's going to return the incident to the bottom of the incident deck. So that's nice. The incident deck is very much under control. Now the next card. And this is not good. So it doesn't have any of those traits, but it's a person. And this is what I was hoping to avoid. It says to discard the top card of the bot deck. Log the top card of the bot deck. Gain either a military or a diplomacy, whichever is lower. Not diplomacy, influence. Sorry, that yellow one is influence. Then it wants to gain a weapon if it can, and then if not, a ship. So the bot never takes from the top of the deck. It just looks over here. None of those say weapon on them, so it's just going to take a ship. And it doesn't say take, it says gain. And then it's going to promote this card to duty officer. So this card now becomes their duty officer. And that means we have to take this suit card and flip it over to the more powerful side. As long as that guy is the duty officer, they're going to be doing more powerful actions. Okay, they're done. They need to put out a glory. And it looks like all of these are worth 2. So it's going to go to the one with the least number of tokens. And you can see here, this cleared off this card, right? It's now completely cleared of glory tokens. So what you're supposed to do is take this and then put it into your area here. And during our cleanup, we're going to resolve the Stardate card. In this case, we're going to be wiping the market and cleaning off all the tokens. Now we need to put 7 glory onto this card. There we go. And now it's our turn. No resupply, no control, straight to actions. I'm not sure what to do this turn, but I do think I want another ship. So let's play this. We're going to do the top one, which is take an incident in order to gain a ship. So the incident goes into our hand. And I don't really care for that ship, so I'm going to draw from the top of the deck. Okay, interesting. We got like this Vulcan ship. Looks like it will allow us to get some research, which could be helpful. And then you can see on that second play, it shows that it requires us to be at least a level 5 on military in order to do that particular action, which we're nowhere near. But it is worth 2 points. I'm going to place it in the discard pile. All right, I think I have to do this. We're going to play that cool encounter card that we got. That's going to let us send 3 of our away team to the same location, ignoring a ship if it was there, but we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to go right there. And then for each Imperial thing that we had in play, we would gain stuff, but we don't have anything Imperial right now. But the reason I wanted to do that is because now we can, boom, activate Wharf here, which will let us discard a card to remove an opponent from a location where we have at least one away team. Let's discard this incident. Boom, we can get rid of them. And when we do, we gain a glory. And the other cool thing is we now have enough to control that location. So that's pretty good. And now I think I'm just going to play this. Last action, we'll do the top one. It says to put a card on top of our deck in order to gain a person. So I'm going to put data on top of the deck. And I think I just want to gain this person. So we'll take that. And when we gain, we can put them on top. I think I will. And that's it. That is all I want to do. So now we go to cleanup, and that's when we resolve this. So during the... Oh. We put that out first. So during the cleanup step, I need to wipe the market, removing all tokens. So we remove these. These all go into the junk. I'm knocking everything around. There we go. So that's resolved. We now have to put a glory token on one of these. Ooh, I like this ship. Let's put that. And now, discard these. Draw 3. That's our turn. Over here, no control. Still on 2. Their deck is empty. So we're going to shuffle this up, just like we would for ours. And then we go to their reserve deck. Now, their reserve deck is actually developments and reserve cards all shuffled up. So we just put it right on top like that. Draw 2. Ooh, and it's an incident. So we've had this before. They're going to gain a military. Oh, but we're now on the duty officer side, so it's going to be a little worse. It says, if able, gain a Romulan. And wouldn't you know it, there is a Romulan there. So they're going to gain this Romulan. Then it says to send a away team to a neutral location. These are tied. This one's worth 1. And then return this card. So in a way, that's nice. That's making the incident deck a little thicker. And we got a directive. So we're right back to the suits. If able, do both. Log a ship. Okay, it's not able to log a ship. And remove an away team to take the top encounter. Then log this card and log the duty officer. So it can't do that because it couldn't do both. So otherwise, we're just going to gain a glory and gain a military and gain a person. Going to put this out, and right now that's the least valuable. Well, that was cool because we don't have a resupply, but it didn't mess with us here. So we have control. When we gain control, we get 2 Latinium. Planet's nice. It's giving us 3 points, but it's also giving us 3 of these influence skill icons, which might be able to help us here real soon. I'm going to start by playing this, and I'm going to play the bottom play effect that doesn't take an action. I'm going to get to draw a card and then discard a card. And then I could warp some ships, but we're not going to worry about that. Oh, okay. So I am drawing what I wanted. I'm going to discard that ally. Yeah, I want to get my ship in play, so we'll play that. We're going to deploy. And then warp. Wow, that location is worth 10 points. I want to go there and get that. Let's do this. It's going to be my second action. You may put a person on top of your deck. So I have data here. I'm going to put them on top of my deck. That will let me send a away team to a location. We're going to go there. It then says you may log a person, and if you do both, then you can get a victory point. We don't have any of that, so we can't do anything like that. But now that we're here, we can activate Wharf. Boom. We can discard a card to remove an opponent. And if we do, we get a glory. Now, the problem with how that worked out is we're going to have an extra action that we're not going to get to use. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So we're cleaning up. Oops. Ooh, I want to get that ship. And... 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're shuffling. And goes on top. Okay, 2 over here. So yeah, no Imperial or Klingon, so we're going to go to ship. It's going to gain 1 influence. Deploy this ship. It engages. Now, before we saw the ship explore, but now it's engaging. And so when it's engaging, it actually is going to go to the place that has the most of our tokens, right? It actually wants to fight us. And since there's a tie here, it's going to go to the most valuable one, which is definitely here. And it's then going to send one of its away teams there. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. Oh, another ship. Okay, so the same thing is going to happen. Getting another influence, deploying the ship, it engages. And the problem with this is it now has 4 tokens here to my 1, so it can control this. We're going to have to do something about that. So now cleanup happens, and least valuable. That's 2. Nope, that's more. So this is also 2. So less tokens. No resupply, no control. Our turn for actions. Ugh. Oh wait, I didn't draw my other my card. Well, I hate to do this, but I think we're gonna have to run away. So we'll tap this. We'll spend a dilithium crystal to warp out of there. We just didn't have the cards to fight for that location at all. Let's start off with this card, Utilize. And we're going to play the bottom one here, where it says to gain on 1 specialty track for each matching skill that you have in play. So I'm going to choose Influence, and right now we have 1, 2, 3, and then the Enterprise D could be any one of those, so that's 4. So we get to move up 4 spaces. And this is probably a good time to talk about our objective. We're playing on the basic side, so we only have 1 objective. On the advanced side, you'd have 3 different objectives. And we'd like to complete this, so you can think of it as a mission. So Picard has peace negotiations. Goal: have 3 allies on the same ship, so beamed onto a ship, and have at least 2 of our skill tracks at 4 or more. So if we can accomplish that, then we'll get to gain 4 dilithium crystals, draw 4 cards, and junk a card from the market. But even more importantly than that, when you complete your mission, that means that at the end of the game, you can score the cards that are like this, where you're going to be scoring for your multiplier. If you don't complete your mission, you don't get to score cards like that. You can only score cards that have the victory point value. So you're very incentivized to complete that before the end of the game. So that's why we play this. We're at 4 on this track. We're going to try to get to 4 on that track, and then we'll at least have that, and then we'll have to start beaming in some allies. We're getting 1 victory point for each ally anyway, so we do want to definitely get some allies. Cool. Now we're going to play this. This is one of the reserve cards that we got. Our Type 7 shuttlecraft. This is going to let us send an away team to a location where we have a ship. Boop. And then we may, if we want to, put this card back on top of our deck. And I kind of think I want to do that. So boom. And now we're bringing out Strange New Worlds again. So you know how this works? We have at least one ship, at least one away team on a planet that we control. We get to look at 2 encounters. Okay, so we have the Guardian of Forever. Play, gain 1 influence and 1 research. Deploy this card. Okay. And then once it's deployed as a passive, we can increase our hand size by 1. And whenever scanning, which you haven't seen scanning yet, include cards in the junk as well. Ooh, wow. So scanning is an action that will let you look through some of the draw decks, and then you can sort of pick the card that you want rather than drawing it blindly. If we were to scan, we could also scan through the junk, which is amazing. So that's just a passive ability, but we also have an activation. It says, recall a non-time travel card from your staging area. You may take an incident to gain an extra action and then log this card. Also worth 3 points. Or this weird card here, Koala. It's worth 8 points, and it just simply cannot be played. It's also got the wild card icon there, so you can use that as any trait. That's a little too weird for me. I don't know what to do with that. I'm going to take the Guardian of Forever. We take it, so it goes on top of our deck. And then we're going to log this location in order to gain a research. All right, that was it. Now we could discard these if we don't want them in our hand. But I think I do want those. So we'll just draw. Oh, and of course, got to put the glory out. There we go. And now there's nothing on this card, so we don't have to worry about giving it to them. Normally we'd give it to them and then, you know, they would resolve this, but there's nothing to resolve. 7 more glory goes on there. And we're in round 3 now, and it ends after round 5. But we're still at 2. And, oh, can't forget this. They are going to control this. So both of these get dismissed. Dismiss the duty officer. Ooh, okay. So duty officer is dismissed. Gain 1 glory. Resolve the top card of the bot deck. So we got to flip this card back to its no duty officer side. But we have to resolve the top card of the deck, which... Okay, hold on. Let's rewind. Okay, we haven't hit any of those traits yet, which is weird, but we got the suit as a ship. It's going to deploy, and this time it's exploring. So it's just going to do the most valuable one, which is here. It's going to avoid us, and it's going to pop someone on there. And now they get 2 cards. I really hate that they got those 10 points. I don't know if... my weakness in this game is scoring points. How do I score points? I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. Oh, they're going to get their duty officer right back. Well, here we go. We get to see a trait. Because we got the attack. So with the attack, it says to junk the most valuable card in the market, ignoring any with tokens. So they all have tokens on them, so we're just going to skip that. If able, return a ship from discard to the top of the bot deck. Well, that is definitely possible. Right? It says otherwise, if able, you dismiss a ship. We don't have to worry about otherwise, and then otherwise gain a glory. So don't have to worry about any of those. Okay, so that was nice. So because of that attack, then they didn't become a duty officer. So that worked out well. And then, gosh, another ship. We know what happens there. It's going to deploy. And it's going to explore. So it's going to go there. Really annoying. And the least valuable, I think that one's just 2. Yeah. Back to us. No resupply. No control. What are we doing? Let's play the Guardian of Forever. It doesn't even cost an action. I'm going to gain an influence and a research, which is perfect. Now I have exactly what I need for that mission. I just need to get some allies tucked in. And look at this. Passive. My hand size is increased by 1, and I get that scanning ability. That is really cool. I think I want to play Riker. Take an action. I can draw 2 cards from the discard pile. I can get Strange New Worlds back, and I can get my Enterprise D. And then I'll spend 1 crystal here. If you target a controlled location, you get to trigger that card's operation, which is just 1 more research. And now that I have someone here, I can tap this in order to draw a card. I suppose, let's play this. Deploy. And then warp this ship. I'm going to warp it here. You may discard a card to get a research. Yeah, let's discard data. And now I want to do this. Shuttlecraft. I can send an away team to where I have a ship, and we have the same number of ships there, so I can send it here. Then I can put this back on top of my deck, and I will. And then boom, wharf. I have to discard a card in order to do this. So shoot. I don't want to discard a card. Yeah, fine, I'll discard that. So we can remove their away team. And get a glory. So this is going to go out, I think, on this ally. And now our hand size is 6 because of the Guardian. So that is good. 4, 5, 6. And they haven't controlled that yet. So that's good. They don't have anything under control. So we're just doing the 2 cards. Wow, they have so many ships. Oh, it's going to go to the place with the fewest total tokens. So that is right here. And then it's going to send... It's not going to send it there. It's going to send it there. So now it has control of that one, but we could move over there and just... We're getting a lot of glory from Worf just attacking people, so that's working out pretty well. And then another directive. Discard the top 3 cards of the bot deck. Gain 1 military. Take an incident. And then send one of these to a neutral location. And in this case... So it goes to the place where the bot has the most tokens, but there's also a rule that it's never going to go to a place that it controls by more than 1. So right now, it is going to go here, because now it controls it by an excess of 1. But if we were to have to put another one out, it wouldn't go here, because then it would be controlling it by an excess of 2 tokens. It's a little confusing, right? But it needs at least 3 tokens there. So now that it has 4, it has an excess of 1. It gives it a little leeway that way. So if I remove 1, it still has control. So man, they are just flying out everywhere. They're going to put this... That's 3, that's 3. That is 4. So this has less tokens. Back to us. We don't have control. So it's just action time. Well, first things first, let's tap this for the activation. Just lets us draw a card. Okay, got an incident. That's not going to help. Now I want to activate my cruiser. I'm going to spend a crystal to warp it over here. And then we're going to Strange New Worlds again. We've been making very good use of this card. So once again, we get to choose between 2. Ooh, okay. Ancient Gene Fragments. We can play this to draw a card for each controlled location with at least one of our away teams on it. And if you have a scientist in play, gain an extra action. Well, our cruiser has scientist on it, so that's pretty good. It's not worth a lot of points, though. The other play is to scan 2 of either person, cargo, ship, or ally. And if you have a scientist in play, draw a card. Now that could be useful because of our scan ability, because of the Guardians of Forever. And here we have V'ger. No action points required, just log up to 2 cards from your hand or discard pile. That would be great for thinning our deck, and it's worth 9 points. I think I gotta go for the 9-point card. This one's really cool and would probably be useful, but I just don't know how much time there is in the game. I'm gonna take the points. Now when we do this, we log the location. We get a research. We've logged all of our locations now. Now I want to draw that card, so I think I'm going to play this. And we'll do the bottom one here that doesn't take an action point. Draw a card, then discard a card. So we're going to draw that card that we just put up there. And I got to discard... I'll discard this incident. The incident deck is doing fine, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I still have 2 more action points. Well, let's get our Enterprise D out there. So that's an action. We're going to warp it. I don't want him to gain control of that. I'm going to warp it there. We'll play this. This will let us send 3 of our away team. So now all of our away team is out. We've now matched them there. And yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any Imperial. But Worf can do his business here. We have to discard a card. And we'll discard that. Remove. Get a glory. And now I'll play V'ger. No action. I can log up to 2 cards. Yeah, I'll log him. And I just don't think Data is going to be very useful for us. So I'm going to log him. Glory. It's not going to matter. All these are going to get wiped. Yeah, it's okay. These all get discarded. I'm going to discard that as well. And we have a hand limit of 6. Get that. Oops, nope. There's 2 more there. So 4, 5, 6. So because we emptied that, this is going to go to them. Let's put it right here. So they'll activate that. And then there's just 6 on here. I really wanted that guy, but I just didn't get the cards when I needed them. Okay, well, we kept them from controlling that. So that was good. We're still at 2. 1. They've got a shuffle. And we know what that is. That's going to be an incident. We've done well not depleting the incident deck. We haven't even come close. And then they'll get that card, and that'll be the second one. That's right. They're going to get some glory here. There's nothing with a military icon at the bottom. So they're going to do a person or a ship. They're then going to send one of their away teams to a neutral location. They're going to go there because that has the most tokens. You may draw a card. Thank you very much. And then we just return this. And another incident. Wow. Funny. Now, actually, when it was making that decision between the person and the ship, it should have done the one that was most valuable, which I think was that one. But it doesn't matter now because this is the one that's most valuable now. Boy, they're getting a lot of glory. And then they're just going to send it there. Boy, they are really fighting over this. So now they have 5 tokens to my 4. Oh, we may draw another card. Oh my goodness, we're going to have so many cards. And then return it. Okay, that wasn't such a bad turn. Now we have to do this. So during this player's cleanup, wipe the market. Very sad. And then if there were any neutral planets here that didn't have tokens on it, we would get rid of that and replace it, but they all have tokens. So now they're going to put this on the least valuable. This is actually worth 2 to me now, so 1 is over there. Back to us. We have 3 actions, and we have a lot of cards. So what are we going to do with this? All right, my main goal is before the end of the game to complete this mission. I don't think I can do it on this turn, but I can get pretty close. So let's start here with this directive. This is going to let me scan 2 of ally and then log this card. So the way scanning works is we can look at the 2 cards here on top of the deck, and we can pick one of these, or we can take the one that's face up. Now, I'm not going to really be playing either one of these, because we're just going to be beaming them onto the ship. So I'm really just looking for the victory points. They're both going to basically be 3 points. I'll take this one. And now Picard's going to do his reaction. So when we gain an ally, we can discard a card to get a glory. And then you may beam the gained card to the ship. And let me discard a card. Yeah, we can discard Riker. And then we're going to log that card. Great, that's one of the 3 that we need. Now, before I forget, let's activate Wharf, because we got this going again, so we can return this, get a glory. We do need to discard a card. And we don't need this one. I also want to activate the Enterprise D. You can see here, discard a card to beam a card. Man, so I'm having to discard a lot of cards here. Yeah, I'm going to discard this one because we just don't need it right now. But that's going to let me beam this ally that I have in my hand in here. Now we have 2. And I still have 2 more actions. So yeah, we'll play this. Take an action. This says take an incident in order to gain an ally. So we'll take that incident. I think I will just take this one. It's worth 3 points. That's pretty good. And we'll gain it on top of our deck. I'll end by just playing my ship. My cruiser. So we're going to deploy it. And now I want to warp it there. Then I can discard a card to get a research skill. I'll get rid of that one. I think we've done all we can. So we're going to put this... Oh, got to refill that. Let's put this on here. And our hand size is 6 again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, wait, I forgot to get my research. Yeah, that gets us to a ×3. No control. 2 cards. Directive. Man, they've been pulling a lot of directives. Discard the top 3 cards of the bot deck. Gain a military skill. Take an incident. Send one of these out again. Ooh, and a person. So that's a Romulan, and that means we have that trait here. And it says to log the top card of the bot deck. Oh, so this is interesting. Anytime you are going to log a incident card, rather than logging it, it just gets returned. And then it says to take the top card of the supplement deck and then log this card. So we're taking that, and then we're logging this. Very simple turn. That's worth 2. That's worth 2. That's worth 2. These two are tied, so they'll go to the left one. Comes to us. We don't have control. So this is great. I can just tap that, discard a card to beam this ally. And I do need to discard something. I'll discard the shuttlecraft. And now that we have our mission complete, we can do this without spending an action. We're going to get the reward. 4 crystals. Draw 4 cards. So 1, 2. We'll shuffle this up. And we're going to get our last reserve card. 3, 4. And we could junk a card from the market. Sure, let's junk this. Now we do need to discard all of the beamed cards that helped us. Oh, and we use this to mark it off to show that we've completed it. That is so fantastic. And now we have so many cards. Ooh, we got Beverly Crusher. Well, before we do that, here, let's get Worf going. Remove that. Get one of these. We do have to discard a card. This can just be taken away. And here we go. We're down to 5. The final 5 glory. I'm going to discard this. Now I can use Beverly Crusher. Yeah. We'll play Beverly Crusher. Gonna gain a research. Can return an incident. At the end of the game, those are worth -2 points, so it is good to get those out of your deck. I kind of want to just play this. Yeah. Let's get rid of that. Down here, it says that if you have time travel in play, which we do here on our Guardian of Forever, then we can return this and draw 2 cards, discarding 1 of them. So we'll draw 2 cards. Yeah, I'll keep this one. I think I'm going to play this one for free. No action needed. Draw a card, then discard 1. Not getting the card I wanted, I'll tell you that. Log 2 cards, either from my hand or discard pile. Yeah, I'll log her. And I'll log that thing. I think I'll discard a card to beam a card here just to get it out of my deck. I'll discard that to beam this. And then I'll just play this to get rid of it. I can spend 2. And I don't have an engineer in play. But at least we got rid of it. Have 1 card left. I'm going to put that right there. My deck is looking a little bit better now, and I get to get a development. So I get to pick from these, and there's a bunch. Now, they usually cost some stuff, and I have 3 dilithium crystals. Ooh, we got a couple good ones here. This Make It So is really cool. I have the necessary influence, so I could select a secured neutral location and take control of it. I could probably secure one of these locations. I could probably secure this location. Yeah, we're going to do Make It So. Bam. So 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Right, we're nearing the end. But they're going to get 3 cards now. Another directive, man. Discard the top 3 cards of the bot deck. One military. Take an incident. Send to a neutral location. All right, we got attack. So that's on our trait card. Junk the most valuable card in the market, ignoring any with tokens on it. So that's just this one. If able, return a ship from the discard to the top of the bot deck. Well, I don't know if they can do that. Oh, they can. And it's another ship. So those traits aren't it. So with the suit, we're going to deploy the ship and it's going to explore. Wants to go to where there's the fewest total tokens. So that's going to be here. And then it's going to send one over. So right now, they have control of that. Or they've secured it so that they can control it on their turn, at the beginning of their turn. That's 2, this is 2, so that goes there. And that is it for them. Our turn, nothing to control. I just realized I forgot to pay for my development. It was 3 crystals. I think I have a plan. Well, let's start with Worf. We're going to discard a card. I guess this one. Get rid of one of those. Get a glory. I'm going to play this just for the bottom one. Doesn't take an action point. Just going to gain 2 crystals. I want to spend one of those to move the Enterprise D over here. It's hard to see, but now I have 3 tokens to their 1. That means I've secured this location. That's going to be important because we are going to play Make It So. Again, no action required. I'm going to do the bottom one. I do have at least 4 influence. I can select a secured location, and I can take control of it. Everything is going to get returned. As well as theirs. Now, when that happens, your opponent gets 1 glory for every token that's removed. That ship that was dismissed. Okay, very good. So we got this card. The control has no effect. And then this gets logged. We have a lot of cards logged at the moment. I still have not played an action. I mean, I guess I'll log 2 cards. I don't need this cruiser anymore, probably. And this shuttle. I honestly don't know what to do here. I've got Strange New Worlds, which doesn't help me. And then I have this, but I don't want to move anybody. Ooh, actually, though, I do want to move them up there to keep them from gaining control of that. Cool, so I will play that. And we'll just send this to here. We don't have to worry about the ships. And I guess that's it. So we're going to put this here. That's going to go to them. I'm going to discard this. Discard these. And boy, we're going to get another development. Problem is, will I be able to afford it? Now remember, you can always convert 1 glory into 2 dilithium crystals. I could do that. Yeah, let's just get Geordie LaForge. That's going to cost 2, so I'll just spend 1 point to gain 3, so that's not a bad deal. And now we're back over here. 3 cards. Oh, nope. Face down. Gotta shuffle. So, again, we're doing the ship thing. We know it's going to come here. And that's going to go there. Incident again. All right, I wanted to gain something with the military icon at the bottom. There isn't one. So now it's going to take a person or a ship, whichever one is most valuable. That's going to be the ship. And then it's going to send this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 3. So I don't think it's going to send here. I think it's going to go here. Okay, I may draw a card. Very good. And return this card. Ooh, and it's got a location. So we're logging the top card. Discard the top 2 cards. If a ship is in the bot discard pile, gain 1 glory. And then this is going to go out. A location always goes out. And there is a ship. There we go. It gets a glory. All right, it looks like we're each going to get 1 more turn, and then that's going to be the end of the game. Well, for us, we do have a resupply action here. We're just going to get a crystal. We don't have control of anything, but right now, they've secured both this location and this location. I don't think I can stop them from getting both of those. I just have to accept that. Let's at least do this. We know we're going to do that. Ooh, I'd rather them take that card rather than this card. So I'm going to do it here. Oops, don't remove mine. And I have to discard a card. We don't need that. I really don't have a whole lot I can do. But let's at least play this. Down here, we're going to draw a card, then discard a card. Ooh, got my ship. I didn't get the card that lets me draw an ally, so I can't get this. That's annoying. I will play my Enterprise D, though. And warp it. So there we go. So now it's 4 to 5. I've blocked them now out of both of those. I'll play this for free just to get 3 crystals. The only thing I can think to do is this. Activate, recall a non-time travel card. So I'll recall this one. And then I may take an incident to gain an extra action and log that card. You know, I will do that. I will gain an incident, or take an incident, to get another action that I probably won't need, and then I'll log this. Okay, then I'm going to play this again. Draw a card, then discard a card. Okay. I'm going to discard the incident. And then it says I can warp up to 2 of my ships. I'm going to move my ship here. And you'll see why. I want to play Riker. I can draw 2 cards from my discard. And I'll spend one of these to move this right there. And it says if you targeted a location that you control, you'd get to do the control effect again, which this doesn't have one. But that's okay because I want to play Strange New World. Oh, we can move that over. So we get 2 more of these. And I just got to take the 7 points. That one is easy. And then we're logging this. Gaining a research. And now I want to play Beverly Crusher. Gain a research. So there we go. We got to the 4 multiplier there. You may return an incident from your discard pile. And that is it, I think. Yep, I think that's it for me. I'll just put that there. And now it's just 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get another one of those. I don't know why I'm shuffling. Doesn't matter. Let's see here. I just want points. Yeah. We'll get Troy for 2. We come over here, and they have control of that. I have 2 away teams there, so I'm going to get 2 points. They get this. So we're going to look at the location. We're going to log the top card of the bot deck. Discard the top 2. And if there's a ship, then it gets a point, and there is. They get 3 final actions, and then we are done. Klingon is not one of the traits, so we're going to go right to the suits. Person, discard the top card of the bot deck. Log the top card of the bot deck. Gain a military or intrigue, whichever is lower. Then they want to gain a weapon. Nothing says weapon there, so they're going to get a ship. And this person's going to get promoted to duty officer. That's annoying, so we have to flip over now. Directive. If able to do both, log a ship and remove a away team. And they can do both. So they're going to log that ship. We'll get rid of that away team. That's going to let them take the top encounter card. Ooh, that's a shame. Oh, and they're going to log it, and they're going to log the duty officer. All right, so that was short-lived. We're back to the suits with no duty officer. And the final card, well, it's a location. So log the top card of the bot deck. Gotta shuffle. They're gonna log that. Discard the top 2 cards. And if there's a ship in the discard, they get a point. And they got lucky. Oh, man. Okay. There we go. Now let's go over scoring and see who won, because I really have no idea. Let's add it up. First thing is we just look at our glory tokens. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, that's not good. Now we get 1 point for each token that we have on neutral planets. So I have 2, and they have 2. We're now going to look at in-game scoring, like I have here on Jean-Luc Picard. It says score 1 point for each of your allies. So I now need to go through and find all my allies. 2, 3. Thought I had more than that. But no, just 3. Now, a lot of time you might have some planets that have them, like that one right there. Now, they have to be in play. Anything like, you know, that was logged or was in my hand or something, that's not going to count for this in-game. They have to be in play. Now, the bot's going to score 5 points for any of these in-game things that they have. And they don't have to be in play. They can just have them. Now, I don't believe they have anything like that, but let's look. Nope, nothing logged. None of their planets. So that's going to be a 0. And now we just have to add up all the victory points on the cards. Just the ones that have a victory point value. So we can actually just take them all into our hand. Count them up. Okay, I didn't want you to have to sit through all that, but I added it up. I have 41 points to their 27. So right now I'm in the lead, but we still have to add up these cards here. So we're going to be looking for any that have that blue symbol at the bottom. I have 1, I have 2, I have 3. And each of those are worth 4 because I reached that spot on my track. So that's 12 points. I then have 1 for yellow, which is only 2. And 0 for red. For them, 1 blue and 3 red. So they're 1 blue. That's just worth 1. No yellow. They almost reached the 3 spot, but that's still at 2. So that's going to be 6. So we definitely took this one. We have 73 points to their 50. And there you have it. That was a complete solo game of Star Trek Captain's Chair on the easiest setting. I'd like to thank all the financial supporters of Totally Tabled, including the totally radical Mitch Fisher, Hextra, John Kohler, Scott Myers, and Jay Satterwhite, as well as the totally bodacious Connie Womack. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can join on YouTube or my Patreon at www.patreon.com/totallytabled. You'll gain access to my new exclusive podcast, Table Talk, as well as unboxing videos and whatever extra stuff I come up with. As always, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.